Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into one of history's most fascinating architectural puzzles. If you're the kind of person who loves uncovering how things actually work, using hard evidence rather than just wild myths, you are absolutely in the right place.
So, let's open up the ultimate mystery box. How on earth did ancient builders pull off this massive construction feat without a single crane, bulldozer, or computer? It's a question that has captivated people for centuries, and for good reason.
Millions. Yeah, you heard that right. We aren't just talking about stacking a few dozen boulders in a backyard. We are talking about millions of individual, incredibly heavy stone blocks required just to construct the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Section 1. The Great Pyramid Mystery. Setting the stage thousands of years ago. Let's quickly establish the sheer, mind-boggling scale of what these ancient engineers were actually up against. Think about it. The core challenge here was moving these unbelievably heavy blocks with zero mechanized power. Imagine standing out there in the blistering desert at the very beginning of this project. You have millions of massive stones to manage, and your only power source? Human muscle.
Moving on to Section 2, moving millions of stones, the horizontal solution. Because, before a single stone can go up, it's got to go across, right?
You really have to ask yourself, if you've got a massive block of limestone weighing literally tons, how do you even get it to the construction site in the first place? Obviously, you can't just toss it over your shoulder and start walking.
The whole process was honestly a logistical masterpiece. First, workers quarried the limestone using super simple hand tools. Then, for the really long distances, they used the ultimate ancient highway, transporting the massive stones on boats right down the Nile River. And finally, once they hit the shore, they hauled these blocks over land on huge wooden sledges.
Now, you'd probably think a heavy sledge would just dig straight into that dry sand and grind to an agonizing halt. But experiments actually reveal a brilliant, surprisingly simple trick: water. By just pouring a little bit of water onto the sand directly in front of the sledges, they drastically reduce the friction. It's kind of like turning a giant sandbox into a slick slip and slide. This one tiny trick turned an impossible drag into a completely manageable pull.
All right, Section 3, raising blocks with ramps, or the vertical solution. Now we're getting to the absolute heart of today's explainer, conquering gravity.
Because, look, moving stones horizontally along a wet, flat path is one thing. But how did they physically lift millions of these heavy blocks hundreds of feet into the air? I mean, without modern cranes to hoist them, they desperately needed a continuous, reliable method to fight gravity as the pyramid grew.
Archaeologists point to one definitive answer, and it's the ramp. Now, a ramp is just a simple inclined plane, but it was an absolute game changer for these builders. Why did ramps aid this massive stone construction so perfectly? Well, it all comes down to mechanical advantage. Instead of trying to lift a multi-ton stone straight up in the air, which, let's face it, is totally impossible for human muscle, a ramp spreads that required effort over a much longer distance. By dragging the stones up a gentle slope, the construction could actually progress smoothly, layer by massive layer.
But here's the kicker. They didn't just build one giant ramp and call it a day. The engineering had to be incredibly dynamic. In the early stages, when they had this huge, wide base, a massive straight incline worked just fine. But as that pyramid grew taller and the base narrowed, they couldn't exactly keep extending a straight line out into the desert, so they adapted. They likely used wraparound or zigzag ramp designs, basically constantly adjusting their vertical highways to keep pushing those blocks higher and higher into the sky.
Which brings us to Section 4, Organization and Ancient Precision, the human engine. With the physical mechanics of sledges and rams figured out, we've got to talk about the absolute logistical marvel driving the whole shebang.
Because, spoiler alert, it wasn't magic powering those sledges or dragging those blocks up those ramps. It was the sheer force of human collaboration. We're talking thousands of people working together in perfect, synchronized rhythm. The management required to pull this off, honestly, it's just as monumental as the stone structure itself. Just think about the overwhelming scale of the daily tasks going on all at once. You've got teams quarrying stone, teams transporting materials, and teams building those ever-changing ramps. And honestly, don't overlook the logistics of basic survival. Just baking the bread and brewing the beer to feed a workforce of thousands every single day is mind-blowing. And all of this is happening while specialized masons are up there, carefully positioning every single block.
And what makes it even more unbelievable is the accuracy. I mean, without a single computer or laser level,
They achieved remarkable precision. By using advanced math, meticulous surveying with super simple tools like plumb bobs, and just incredibly careful planning, they made sure millions of individual blocks came together to form a geometrically perfect wonder.
All right, final stretch. Section 5, humans, not aliens. The verdict. Let's wrap up today's explainer by tackling, well, the most popular myth out there about these pyramids.
Because of the incredible scale, the brilliant use of those ramps, and the crazy precision we just went over, people constantly ask, did extraterrestrials have a hand in this? You know the memes. It's a huge pop culture theory.
But when we actually look at the data, I'm talking the chisel marks left in the limestone quarries, the remnants of those ancient ramps we discussed, the actual workers' villages, the archaeological record is crystal clear. There is absolutely zero reliable evidence for anything otherworldly. None whatsoever.
Honestly, the truth is way more impressive than the alien myth anyway. These structures are a testament to ancient human engineering, deep organizational systems, and sheer raw determination. They didn't need magic. They didn't need lasers. They used wet sand, riverboats, smartly designed ramps, some math, and the collective willpower of thousands of people.
So I'm going to leave you with this thought. If human determination, combined with the clever use of really simple tools like wet sand and ramps, could literally build mountains of stone thousands of years ago, what kind of monumental challenges are we capable of solving today with the incredible resources we have at our fingertips? Kind of makes you think, right? Keep that in mind next time you're facing a massive project of your own. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.